Story 11. I worked at one of the premier hotels at a ski resort in the country. Top 10. Met celebrities, royalty, politicians, athletes. Hockey players are the nicest athletes by a wide margin. Royalty is great or more likely awful. A list celebrities want to be left alone or treated as just another person. Politicians are bigger assholes when they're with their families. Saw lots of sex, drugs, underage drinking, escorts, the usual. I was most amazed by how nice staff were to guests when management continually made our lives harder and shittier. We just let it roll off our backs and keep smiling until we just quit. We were paid so little and respected so little by management. If you weren't thick-skinned, then you quit by week's end. Best thing I saw was the hotel dog. Think alpine dog that people can pet. Kids can get woken up by him in the morning, plays on the ski slopes, etc. Well, he escaped his pen, made straight for the high-end restaurant and went hog wild. Jumped on a few tables and scarfed $100 steaks like they were M&Ms. Me and another guy saw it. We worked during the ski day and cleaned up into the evening, so it was just him and I finishing up in our department at the time, which was by the dog's kennel. We both saw he was going to escape, and we could have stopped it, but we just wanted to watch the world burn. Greatest day of work there by far. Story 12. Used to work in a hotel summers ago, in a remotish place where we lived in accommodations across the street from the hotel. A lot of us have slept with each other, not me, had a girlfriend at the time. And the busiest days are weekends, so we usually have Mondays off. Mondays were called Monday Fun Day, where we would go to town or other people's dorms, and do way too much coke. Story 13. I worked at a Ritz-Carlton a few years back. It's literally the same as anywhere else. The hotel staff is amazing at their job, but on their personal time, they're just as fucked as everyone else. The kitchen staff had a few folks with drug issues, and had to be sent home a couple times because of it. In my time there, I saw 2 waiters get fired due to embezzlement. The turnover rate for management was very high because they didn't pay enough for the area. The staff parties were wild to say the least. We weren't allowed to greet celebrities by name since they wanted to be anonymous, so we would use their alias that day. Some were greeted by prostitutes or escorts, who were always super nice to everyone. A regular would rent out a room for a day, once a month, and make 30 to 40K that day from clients. Celebrities, business guys, you name it. Crazy. I've always wanted to know, how does a celebrity's alias for a booking get advised to the hotel? Does their assistant or whoever makes the reservation say that the booking is for Jeff Megastar, or whatever the celeb's name is, but they will be traveling under Phil McCracken, or whatever? And how does the person doing the check-in know that the person standing in front of them, who they may or may not recognize, is going to be under McCracken? Well, I've worked with a few celebrities and athletes in the past, in a different capacity than hospitality. The ones I worked with always used fake names, plus their room was actually reserved and paid for by their assistants, so their name never showed on paperwork. However, since they were listed as staying in the room, their name was added to the card, and that's where the fake name comes in. One guy, the late author Tom Clancy, always used the name of his lead character, Jack Ryan, when getting a room. I once worked for a hotel booking sort of call center company. We had Shaq book the Ritz for himself once, under his own name. AJ McLean booked once under his name, and I also personally booked Andrea Martin and Bonnie Hunt on separate occasions, both under their own names. The Shaq call was hilarious. We all listened to the recording. Story 14. Never ever ever, I repeat, use a chocolate fountain from a hotel or banquet hall. Picture this. It's an expensive as Sunday brunch. Well, little Timmy just double-fisted strawberries directly into that chocolate, bit into both strawberries, then triple-dipped into the chocolate again. And some old rich lady just sneezed on it. And somebody else just dropped their snack into it. The best part, that chocolate gets strained and saved for the next week's brunch. Chocolate is way too expensive to throw away. Chocolate also does this thing where it'll seize if it has the wrong moisture content from people dipping fruit, and the juices going into the chocolate. So it'll get so thick it won't run through the machine. Want to know how they fix that? They add canola oil until it's smooth again. So yeah, next time you're at a wedding and they have a chocolate fountain, think of this post. Think of this post when you dip into that dirty ass watered down with oil chocolate. Story 15. I so worked for a fancy hotel. The building owners, not the chain, the actual building itself, came to visit. He was on the Forbes billionaire list. He was a nice man who had buffet lunches every day and tipped every staff members he saw a crisp $100 every time he saw them. Housekeeper walking past? $100. Bartender setting up? $100. Shift swap? $100 on the way in and out. Seriously? It means little to nothing to him. Well, at the very least make someone else's day and probably make him the favorite guest of all time to the staff. They'd be falling over themselves to give him good service, and not just in the greedy. Let's see how much money I can get out of him. Way, but in the, this is a good dude. I'll go the extra mile to help him just to show my appreciation. Way. Story 16. Worked in 5-star hotels in Beverly Hills. Boy, do I have stories. Sheik picks up a hooker in the bar, takes her to his room. She roofies him, and steals tens of thousands of dollars of cash, watches and valuables. Husbands who will say hello to staff with their mistress on their arm on Thursday night, and their wife on Friday night. Famous teen celebrity left a room full of needles, and various drug paraphernalia behind for housekeeping to clean up. Middle Eastern royalty ships in multiple Ferraris and Lamborghinis to the hotel from their home country to drive for the week. Caught drag racing later that night by the cops in the neighborhoods of Beverly Hills. Largest checkout bill I've ever seen was roughly $2 million for guest who rented out an entire floor of suites for 3 weeks, promptly paid via wire transfer. Had to procure $100,000 cash for a guest whose wife wanted to shop on Rodeo Drive the next morning. The local bank doesn't even have that much. Had to get an armored car from the Central LA Bank branch to deliver. The list goes on.